Deadly Tarantula Girl coming to you from my private serpentarium tonight to bring you a possibly controversial video. This is the top 5 handleable tarantulas currently in my collection, in my opinion. Now, I'm already predicting a lot of people coming on and saying, you're wrong, but I'm actually not, because my opinion is my own, and if you have a different one, you're welcome to it. So, I don't necessarily condone the handling of tarantulas by everyone. If you are not experienced or comfortable holding your tarantulas, I certainly don't recommend it. The truth is, these are animals. People love to ask me, can it bite? And I say, anything with a mouth can bite. Anything. Another thing is, a lot of New World species also possess urticating hairs, which could be irritating. I might point out whether you're holding them or not. But most importantly of all, you may endanger the safety of your animal. Obviously, use your brains and use caution. That having been said, let's get started. Number 5 is the Grammostola pulchripes, also known as the Chaco golden knee. This is a beautiful species that originates from Argentina and Paraguay, South American. This animal is not only beautiful, but it is known for being gentle and docile. Although this animal can hurt you and you can hurt it, in general, this is one of the more handleable species of tarantula. And as I remarked before, anything can happen. It's possible this animal could fall. However, me having the experience and the knowledge that I have, animals don't typically get injured in my care. This is an animal that I feel relatively comfortable handling. The other thing is, the venom in this animal is less potent, that if I were bitten, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would just sit here. Seeing that this is a more gentle, calm species, this is one that I feel fairly confident handling. And so, number 5 on my list is the beautiful Grammostola pulchripes. Number 4 in my collection that I consider the top most handleable tarantulas is the Carabiner Versicolor, previously known as the Vinegaroon Versicolor, commonly known as the Antilles or Martinique pink toe. But I'll tell you what, in my heart, this will always be an Vinegaroon Versicolor. Now I'm going to tell you a big secret. This is an arboreal species. So what do they do sometimes? They jump. However, unless you're on top of the Empire State Building, your animals should be just fine because their bodies are actually specially designed for what I consider nearly flight. But they actually know how to spread their bodies out, and they're very fluffy, so they nearly float down to the ground. Just imagine, in nature, sometimes they jump or fall out of trees, and their bodies are actually designed to take somewhat of an impact. Now, if you were on a concrete or a ceramic tile maybe floor, if they landed wrong, that could definitely injure your animal. Try not to let them fall. But this species is one that can jump and land softly for the most part. I don't recommend letting them fall. However, they do like to jump from my hands very short distances sometimes, which I do not have a huge concern over. Especially a baby versicolor can literally float down through the air, which I think is really amazeballs. Number 3 on my list is the Grammostola species Rosea spatulata porteroi, commonly known as the Chilean rosehair. Now, this is one of the original pet store tarantulas. Very handleable, sweet. However, I do want to say that this species can have a varying temperament and in my opinion are not the most docile. Now, although this animal is handleable in my opinion, I don't typically handle an animal that does not behave as if they want to be handled. If I have an animal that's really resisting walking up onto my hand, unless I need to hold them for some reason, I typically leave them alone. And so for the sake of this video, if any of these animals did not want to be handled on that day, I would have just chosen a different one, which is just one reason why I like to keep multiple specimens of the same species. I would like to debunk the myth that this is the most gentle and docile tarantula, although they're definitely up there in the top 5. Number 3, Grammostola species, Rosea spatulata porteroi. Number 2 on my list is the Grammostola pulchra, also known as the Brazilian black. And I would imagine you can guess why. They're from Brazil and they're very black. I'm sad to say that as we were changing lenses, one of my cichlids, quote, swam very fast and farted a bunch of big bubbles. Someone observed that behind me. I'm so sorry that you missed that. Back to the Brazilian black. This is a beautiful, docile species. They're medium sized. Every animal that I've handled so far is what I would consider a medium size. However, it does cover my entire hand because I have little tiny homunculus hands. As this animal grows to maturity, it might be more difficult for me to handle because it will be quite a bit larger than my hand. But for now, this is a beautiful animal that I can handle quite easily. So number 2 on my list is the Grammostola pulchra, Brazilian black tarantula. Oh, I also want to give a quick shout out to Arachnoclown, who just hatched out some Brachypelma sabulosum. He also has a YouTube channel, so check him out. And we're actually gonna trade some slings, so I'm pretty psyched about that. Oh, also another viewer recently asked why baby spiders are called slings, and that's actually an abbreviation for spiderling. Number 1 on my list, is Brachypelma smithi, my eye state, not Hemori. Now, I did a whole long video on this, but any animal that was a smithi before is still a smithi. The paper that came out basically said, hey, guess what, guys? We might have some Hemori in the hobby. They're very difficult to tell apart. This, my friends, is a smithi. It was born a smithi, and it shall remain a smithi. But in other news, this is a wonderful animal to hold. They are number 1 on my list because, first of all, I particularly like them. This made number 1 on my list, number 1, because I'm particularly partial to them. Some of you know when the first Raiders of the Lost Ark movie came out and Indiana Jones was all like covered in those smithi, I was like, dang, those are awesome. I want to get me some of those. And then I did. But anyway, this is a more docile and easier, more predictable animal to handle in my opinion. As I've stated, this is my opinion, than some Grammostola. Brachypelma smithi and or Hemori, thank you, I feel in general as a species are more predictable than most Grammostola species. But again, my opinion. Second of all, they're way prettier. So hello, who doesn't want to hold a pretty animal? But I just particularly like this animal. I like to use this as an educational animal because they are beautiful, they are easy to work with, they do get large, and they are kind of your stereotypical tarantula. If you see a tarantula on a shirt or in a movie, a lot of times it is this species, and so people do recognize it as a tarantula, and they like that, seeing something that they're familiar with. I am not holding any of my adults because they have been bred. Thank you very much to my loaner that I received from Daniel Sheets. So fingers crossed on that one for Daniel and me that hopefully we get baby smithi soon. Now, once again, I do not recommend that everyone handle tarantulas. In fact, I think that most people should not. However, these were the top 5 handleable tarantulas for me to handle that are currently in my collection. Hope you guys liked this one. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching my animal handling video. If you guys would like to see some reptile handling videos, go ahead and comment that below. And I even have some really amazing venomous handling videos in which I use my tongs from MidwestTongs.com. Check out the description box for those links. Hope you guys like this video on another top 5, and I'll see you again soon. Now here's just a little bonus for you guys. One of my favorite arachnids to hold is actually the Vinegaroon. I know they look really creepy and scary, but they're actually very sweet. So be nice to them and they will not squirt acetic acid right into your face. Isn't he cute?